worked quickly tonight.
Thank
Usually
you,
the Lord
Lord.
doesn't answer our prayers that quick.
Look at me. It's kind of like
sorry.
in my leg. Yeah.
Like a bird
If
on
you could
a
just try to
tree.
make me as comfortable as I can possibly be.
I'm just sitting here.
Hey y'all, and welcome back to Naturally Catholic.
I got
As you can see, my husband Kyle is here with me in this video,
clear
and
to
we
see.
have some wine because we're celebrating a great celebration.
It's a great celebration.
It's a great celebration.
Hence the line. Celebrating or just enjoying this moment that we're having right now with some of the big changes that are kind of in motion.
If you've made it this far into this video, the great big celebration is that, one, we have sold our house officially. So that's the first step. And two, we have found some property that I love it. Do you love it?
I love it. I'd marry it if I wasn't already married to something more beautiful than it.
Yeah, it can't cook for him like I can cook.
No,
but
it can
does
provide.
produce-
It can provide.
Yeah,
It can
you're
provide.
right. Anyway, so we found some land that we really love, and we put an offer in yesterday, and we got the news that it was accepted. So
we're under
officially under
contract.
contract with the land.
We're under double contract.
Yeah. So if we haven't made any sense up until this point, what we're doing is selling our home and getting property to build our forever home.
Yeah, and so I think that Heather and I, the decision and how it all came about was her and I have been wanting to do this for a while. And I think both of us at times had the same vision for what we wanted and then conflicting visions about what we wanted. And then there was just kind of like this magical moment that happened, like, I don't know, a month ago.
Yeah.
It was just a weird, like, I remember you were kind of on the
You were
stairs and I was down here.
So do you want to tell the story?
No, it's like, I remember it like it was yesterday, and I was like, yeah, I was standing right there, and you're like, you were up there, and I was like,
No, you were under the staircase.
Yes, I was
so
on the
here's the
staircase.
story.
Okay.
One thing. So here's the thing about the day. Okay, so the day this happened.
How much, my beloved? Okay.
He has a closet that's under the stairs, and so he has like this teeny tiny closet that's under the stairs that we've kind of he's made into his little office. So he was in the office one day.
It was my prayer room, and then and then COVID hit, and I had to turn to prayer
slash because we don't have a lot of extra bedrooms.
/ troll living under the stairs.
You were a troll. Every now and then he would open it and be like, "Can you all be quiet? I'm on a conference call." But so that was his office, and I remember the one day that this all kind of unfolded. He was in that office, and he was like, "I need a bigger space. This is ridiculous. I don't even have an office. I'm in the closet under the staircase." And so then we just were like, "What are we doing? Like, why are we in this current home? Like, what is the point of this moment?" And I think originally buying this house was to just be comfortable for the next couple years until we figured out like what our next step was. Because we knew our goal was property and a forever home. But how were we gonna get there? And you know how you've had that moment where you're like, we're just gonna do it. We're gonna just, push everything else aside that doesn't make sense, and we're gonna shoot straight towards what we want and not look back. That was Kyle and I that night. I think we came home, we were so pumped. We listened to tons of motivational videos and speakers.
Not so much motivational, but people who had kind of done what it is they kind of expressed what we were feeling in that moment. Because when we looked at each other, it was almost like, we're sitting here, it's like, gosh, I need a bigger space for this or that. And then this whole time we're in a property, but we're in a home, but we're kind of getting to a point to where we're outgrowing it. And then it's like, do we go bigger? Do we just keep going bigger? Do we have a bigger family? And it was almost like, her and I both finally just kind of looked at each other. And in that moment, I was probably venting a little bit just about everything going on with the pandemic and seeing how quickly life can just change at the drop of a hat. And you see nothing's guaranteed, and we've been wanting property, and it was almost like we both looked at each other and we had this aha moment where it's like, the only thing holding us back is us. Literally the only thing keeping us from getting property is us.
And I think it was because we were afraid to feel uncomfortable. We were afraid to be like, oh my gosh, we're gonna get rid of.
I think it was maybe that, but I think a lot of it too for us was that we wanted property, and we wanted it in a certain place at a price point we wouldn't be able to get, and we realized that there's got to be the compromises, right? We've been praying about this for so long. When we both looked at each other in that moment and just kind of had that shared epiphany a realization. It was almost like that was like just this moment where the Holy Spirit, I felt like, was like, then make it happen.
Yeah.
But what you want is here. And so then it was almost like when we had that realization and then just trusted in God's providence, it was like, okay, well, let's put the house on the market. Okay, the house sold. Okay, let's look at land. I really like this 5 acres. It's close to family as well, which is great. And so and then everything is falling into place. And so back to the great celebration that we're having. Sorry,
No,
now I'm going back on timeout mode. I have to time myself. My family,
oh gosh,
literally times me when we're together talking. I'm sorry.
It's okay, we love you. Anyway, so that's basically it in a nutshell.
Sell the house. We're going to get property. We're going to be in an RV. There are going to be some growing pains, but it's going to be a journey, and it's going to be something that a lot of people always want to get out of their comfort zone and take a leap and do something like this. It's not like people just like, they always look at somebody who does something fun or exciting like, oh man. And granted, a lot of times YouTube and Facebook make things look a lot funner than they probably are. Her and I, like, we've been thanking God because like where we're at now and the blessings that we have received, which if we're all honest with ourselves, we're all unworthy of. But God in his gracious overabundance showers them on us. But we also know that it's going to get really tough.
So our plans, after we get out of this house, the next step is to go pick out an RV after we're done with this house and to go and live off the land.
So are we living in an RV on the land with 3 boys, maybe another one on the way at some point. We don't know. And the great thing about we're close to family members, and so when we sell this house, if we're not sure what we're gonna do, because I'll be honest, we're not really sure what we're gonna do, but we know we're not gonna be here when we close. So with family members that are there and the support, I know that some of her sisters reached out to us.
My sister and my brother both live in the neighborhood that we're buying, and so it's a big country
We're not buying the
neighborhood.
neighborhood. We're not buying the neighborhood. We're buying
The lot. So it's a big like country neighborhood. But anyway, so we are ready to simplify our lives, live a little less complicated, get rid of a lot of the materialistic things of the world and be simple country folk.
I want my kids to be tilling the soil instead of scrolling a screen. I want my boys to be out building forts instead of building empires on their World of Warcraft video games. I want my sons to understand the beauty and the value of God's creation and what they're surrounded by, and not go through life in a trance from one screen to another. It provides young men and young ladies opportunities to learn so much and to have time with their parents. And like so much of what I personally think is missing in society at large is like engagement with young boys who need to see a father that's a man that can show them how to follow his footsteps. Young boys who need to see a virtuous mother who loves them and who provides and is in control of her home, is how she runs it and keeps it. And we've kind of lost like the beauty that God has given in that nuclear family of that union between man and wife when it's working as it should. Granted, not perfectly, because none of us are perfect, but as it should when you strive to it. And there's something to be said in that striving to do
when
that.
A husband and a wife are both equally giving all that they can towards their vocation and trying to outdo one another in love and charity.
That takes different forms on different days.
Yeah.
Let's be honest,
like today,
right? It takes different forms.
I really had to try to like him today.
Yeah, and I really had to try to like me too. No, I'm kidding. I love myself every day. It is important because her and I both know we're about to be, we're going to be like sardines for a little while. And so if we're not starting to like already kind of get that mindset and be looking forward to it, then it's going to make the whole process not as enjoyable. And the whole thing is to live your life. Live the life God has given you.
And to live the life like outside of, what everyone else thinks your life has to be.
Yeah.
And like we're gonna be living in an RV, but we're gonna be enjoying the world in a sense of the way God created it by being on the land and learning new things and making mistakes and learning from those mistakes, and also just like being together and doing it as a family unit. And that to me is so cool.
And then the other thing too that's important, I think, is discernment. And so that's the other thing too, that Heather and I, the whole process is like through discerning, you know, what to do. And I mean, like I said, it's been a while that we've been praying about it, and it's almost like, you know, it finally took that moment of clarity that just was. And the funny thing is that this moment of clarity either came 1 or 2 days after we had our home blessed. Because I remember saying something. You don't remember that? Because I remember looking at you being like, I feel like I'm thinking clearer, just like the last. And some of it could be like the placebo effect. You know what I mean?
Probably.
But regardless, even if it was the placebo effect, the fact that I'm having that because we had our home blessed still led me to the revelation. So no matter what, it was part of God's providence either way.
That's so cool. I
yeah,
didn't realize that.
All that aside, that right there of us having that shared realization at the same time was like, okay, the discernment of like, we've been praying about it so long, and it's not that God wasn't there ready to, you know, maybe fill our heart's desire. It's that we weren't ready. You read in the gospel where it says like, you know, you pray and you do not receive because you ask wrongly. As you're praying, it's almost like God cannot be outdone in abundance, in His mercy, and His love, and His blessings. We as people that have a hard time sometimes of truly seeing though God's blessings, right? We don't understand sometimes the blessings that are right there because they seem to be counter to what it is we wanted. And so it's almost like for me that moment of clarity was like, you've been praying, I've been ready I hear your prayers, but you're not hearing what you're praying for. You know, it's here for you, but what you don't want what I'm ready to provide in this location. Maybe the location that's right for you is an hour away from where you go to church.
Want something different.
Maybe it's an hour away from where you go to mass.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a little bit further out than you want to be. Maybe it's not in the place you want to be surrounded by, but this is the place where I'm leading you. And once you remove everything that you're trying to get, what you think the land is that you want,
everything that you need per se.
Yeah, and so it's almost like once we just looked at each other and we're like, you know, we want to be at this place, in this location, right here, right here, right here, but we want it for this price point. It's like putting a square peg in a round hole. It's not going to work. And so finally that change that came about was like, okay, no, this is it. And a weight has been lifted, and we still kind of go through like the nerves, but the nerves are good nerves. They're the kind of nerves where it's like,
it's
oh my gosh, we're doing it. Well, it's like we're doing it. We've been talking about this for so long. We're doing it. That kind of makes you nervous because you're like, oh my gosh. I just have that feeling. Yeah, but it's a good nervous. It's a good nervous. There's bad nervous and there's good nervous.
I love you. You talk so much, but I love you. Why? Go ahead. What do you want to say?
I don't remember now.
Sorry.
Okay.
All right, so that is it. Thank you guys so much for listening to our rant on what we're going to do with our lives. We hope that you will follow along on this journey and enjoy every bit of it with us. If you're needing inspiration, then it might be good for you to watch this channel for the coming year. Because we could be like really in bad shape, and y'all might be like, at least we're not like this girl on Naturally Catholic channel. They're terrible. Look at their lifestyle.
But that being said, even if I'll make this quick, that being said, the mindset though that I have and that I think Heather has is that whether things continue to progress as we are praying that they do, and it just rolls out to where it's like, oh, thank you, Lord, could it have gone any better? Or whether we get to a point to where it's a really big fork in the road and things go nowhere near like we hope once we're about a quarter of the way into this. Either way, God is trying to draw us into a higher realization or understanding or build us more faithfully, even if that's the course that it takes. But either way, everything will be okay. Everything is going to be fine. Why? Because the victory is won, but the battle rages on. And so we continue to go through this life trusting in God, and we find peace in that. So it's a great celebration. It is. We hope you stick around and subscribe to this channel. We're going to be sharing a ton of content on our next
venture in life, RV living, clearing property, gardening, homeschooling. Gosh, that's gonna look so different this year, homeschooling in an RV. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting, but if you like comedy, subscribe to my channel. It's gonna be fun.
Before you eat,
pray, 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 pray.
pray.
Pray, 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 and trust in God. Trust in God, trust in God. Oh gosh, you
I'm
gotta
just
trust in God.
sitting here.
Thank you so much for watching. God bless. Peace be with you.
I like to talk.
You like to talk?
I do. The problem is like I don't like to talk necessarily over people. I just enjoy to talk, and so if I start talking, and I'm a Sicilian, and I come from a large family,
We can see
you know,
You're doing the thing with your hands again.
well, because I'm Italian, I talk with my hands. You know, I'm Sicilian.